Okay, you're going to have a couple of word problems on your test. They might be similar to the two that we're going to work right now. Okay, we all know that on campus we have sidewalks, and rather than taking the sidewalk, a lot of times we kind of make our own path. And what we want to do is we want to see the difference in the length of the path that we made versus if we just stayed on the sidewalk. So the sidewalks meet at a right angle, so we can use the Pythagorean theorem here. So we know that the Pythagorean theorem is going to be the altitude squared plus the base squared is equal to the hypotenuse, which in this case, this is our path that we made squared. So we're going to go through and multiply this out. If you cannot do this in your head, if you cannot square a binomial in your head, write it out twice. Write down x plus 8 times x plus 8. FOIL it out. If you can do it in your head, then do it. So this is going to be x squared plus 16x plus 64. That's equal to 20 squared is 400. Combine this is 2x squared plus 16x. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 64 minus 400. I'm going to keep that in my calculator. We get negative 336, and that's equal to 0. Okay, we can plug this into if we're going to use the quadratic formula, we can plug it in like this. If you want to make the numbers a little bit smaller, just because it just seems less daunting, divide everything by 2, so that's plus x squared plus 8x minus, take that divided by 2, and you get 168 or negative 168 is equal to 0. Okay, you can play around with this, you can factor this, you can complete the square. I'm not going to sit around and try to figure out what numbers multiply together and combine to give me 8. I'm just going to plug this into the quadratic formula. So I've got negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a, and a is 1. Okay, so I'm going to figure out what's in here. So I'm going to multiply the 4 times the 168. So negative 4 and negative 168, that's going to make it positive. I'm going to add that to 64, and I have negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 736 all over 2. Okay, well, I think if I do the negative 8 minus the negative number, I'm going to end up with a negative distance. There are no negative distances. There are no, when you look at mile markers or when you're traveling and it tells you how far it is to Atlanta, it's never a negative number. So let's only worry about the positive one. So we have negative 8 plus the square root of 736 all over 2. So if you have 736 in your calculator, you want to go ahead and take the square root of that. So I'm going to have to locate the square root on this calculator because it's been a very, very long time since I've used it. So we're going to do the square root of 736, which is like 27.129, so I'm going to subtract 8, and then you get 19.129, divide that by 2, and that's around 9.56, okay? So if you wanted to round, let's just round this. Let's say this is 10, x is 10, okay? So it's about, not quite, x is 10, so this is about 10 plus 8, so that's about 18. So if you were walking from here to here, you'd walk about 18 yards, from here to here, 10 more yards, that's 28 yards, about, not quite, but close. And if we wanted the difference, we want to see what the difference is, so you're going to subtract 20. So what you did is you cut off 8 yards from your trip. So that's the difference in going from here to here and going from there to there. Okay, so one other problem that we're going to work rather quickly is another problem where we're throwing an object up in the air. We've been throwing objects up in the air since about the second day of class, I think. Okay, so we're on a cliff. Remember our little cliff that we always draw? We're on a cliff. Okay, so right here where this ball is 200 feet up, 200 feet up. Remember, if you throw a ball up, if you throw something up, it has to come back down. Okay, that's called a trajectory. So what we want to do is, this trajectory is described by the height is equal to negative 16t squared. Remember, t is always in seconds. When we're throwing something up or throwing something down, plus 12t plus 200. That 200 is where we started off, okay? Our question is, how long is it going to take for the ball to be at a height of 100 feet? Okay, well, if that's 200 feet, I'm thinking right here somewhere is around 100 feet. So we want to know the time, okay? So, but we know that the height is 100 feet. Well, h is for height. So we're going to do 100 is equal to negative 16t squared plus 12t plus 200, okay? But we need to subtract that 100 from both sides. Subtract 100 from both sides. We have negative 16t squared plus 12t plus 100 is equal to our function, which is our height, okay? I can stick it there in the front. Okay, let's plug this into the quadratic. So it's going to be the opposite of b, which is negative 12, plus or minus the square root of b squared. 12 squared is 144, minus 4, times a, which is negative 16, times c, which is 100, all over 2a, which is negative 16. Okay, so if you guys will plug all that into your calculators, and you're going to have a negative times a negative, which is going to be a positive. Add all that up, take the square root, do all the arithmetic. You're going to come up with about 2.9 seconds. Okay, on your test, if you ever need to round, they will tell you exactly what to round off to. So I am going to make this video available to you, and then I've got 2 problems on a worksheet that I want you to do. Okay, thanks.